A montage of photographs depicting students and teachers. A graphic of the Perkins logo and the words, Teachable Moments. A title, Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? By Eric Carle, adapted by Marguerite Bilms.
Hello, my name is Marguerite Bilms and I'm a teacher at Perkins School for the Blind within the Deafblind Program. And I'm currently a preschool teacher and I'm here today to talk to you about adapting storybooks.
Marguerite sits at a table, her adapted version on a slant board.
Today I've chosen the book Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? By Eric Carle. It's a great book to adapt for toddlers and preschool learners as it's fun, simple, and motivating. I've taken the original storybook. There's a small version and as well as a large version. And for those of you who are not familiar with the book, it goes as follows. Polar bear, what do you hear? I hear a lion roaring in my ear. And then we move on to the lion.
We go from a 2-page illustration of a polar bear to a 2-page illustration of a lion with a large yellow mane.
So each page has its own particular animal with its own color and its own sound. This is great when creating a storybox or a storybook because you have many options on how you want to teach the student. So for each animal of the book, I've taken the main animal and I've chosen to hand draw it and simplify it. This way it has low complexity and high contrast and the main point is clearly defined.
A hand-drawn illustration contains a tactile element and the word white is printed in large black letters on a white label in the top corner.
For those of you who do not want to hand draw it, you can also take the original book and scan it in and then cut it out, or look on Google. You can find a variety of pictures of the animals on there, or if you're interested, you can print out pictures of real-life animals depending on the learner on whom you're teaching. In addition to providing the animal on each page, I've added a tactile component. This is for students who have cortical vision impairment, low vision, or total blindness. There's a bunch of variety. You can work on auditory skills as far as the animal sounds. You can work on tactile skills, feeling and exploring it. My primary purpose of this book was to work on color concepts for a preschool learner who is 4 years old. In addition, we're working on a lot of pre-literacy skills such as scanning left to right, top to bottom, which is essential for early learners and early readers. We are working on color identification. We're working on turn-taking skills. Whose turn is it to turn the page? Whose turn is it to pick an animal when I'm asking for identification? As well as whose turn is it to make the more silly of a sound. If you'd like, you can add in an iPad in order to have the student press the iPad to activate an animal sound if they are unable to vocalize themselves. This book in particular was designed for a student who's working on color identification. So for exposure, I've provided one word that clearly defines what I'm looking for. White polar bear. For those who are working on a different concept development, you could exchange the white with bear. So you're talking about bear, which is more abstract.
She removes the label with the word white and replaces it with a label that reads bear.
So I choose not to work on it at this early stage, but eventually you can combine it and make a sentence. So the white bear.
The pages of the adapted book are turned to reveal a hand-drawn illustration with tactile elements.
So we go through the book. We have our white polar bear with a dried sponge. We have our sparkly lion, our blue sparkly hippopotamus, our silky smooth pink flamingo, our very bumpy black and white zebra, our bumpy rubbery snake, our shiny eared elephant, our plastic and bumpy cheetah, our shiny peacock, and our very fancy zookeeper wearing his very own button-up sweater.
Marguerite points out page bumpers that have been added.
In addition to the book being held together with binders, I've also provided page bumpers for those students who are working on their fine motor skills to be able to turn the pages themselves and be able to orient the book. They are provided on the bottom left-hand side. In order to create this book, I first cut out the pictures and put them onto black construction paper with regular glue sticks. Then I laminated the pages and added the tactile components with hot glue after the fact as to not ruin the lamination. While lamination is great and it preserves the book, it can also be a distractor as it provides glare, so you must be aware of your environmental conditions when constructing a lesson with a student. So that was an adapted version of Polar Bear, What Do You Hear by Eric Carle, and that's today's teachable moment.